So he was a congressman. He was in the Navy. I believe he was a pilot. I'm pretty confident. Yeah, he did not see any action. Uh, but he did get elected to Congress from Illinois and was a Republican. Then he was put into the Nixon administration as the head of the Office of Economic Opportunity, which, as you might guess, was to cut social welfare spending.
Pass the opportunity on to you,
right?
consumer.
Yeah, and even Nixon said, this is from the tapes, the legendary tapes, that Rumsfeld is a ruthless little bastard.
This is Nixon's mixtapes when he was a young rapper.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's one of those really mean rappers who mostly talks about just how much he hates other rappers.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how he starts.
Yeah, I could also see him having like ODB onomatopoeia going on. Where he's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, baby, I like it raw. No, that's too far away from him.
All these liberal pussies.
Oh, man. Oh, I love Nixon rapping. Okay, we have to move on, though. You know what is disturbing about this part of the film is realizing something that's like obvious, but how every like administration is just the same people shuffled around in various jobs. Like, this is not a free country. This sucks so hard. This guy's been in the government since Nixon.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, because once you're in, like, you're the most qualified. You've already done the job.
It's just like it's the same 10 guys, and every few years they all get excited about who's going to get like the big job, and then the rest of them just gets shuffled into the other jobs, and they're all just like, they go and jack off on each other at the Skull and Bones party, and they're like, oh, you know, Nixon got it this year.
Yeah, but they're psychopaths about it, so it actually really haunts them that they're like, I'm in the second chair.
I know, it's crazy.
Right. I mean, he was both the youngest and the oldest Secretary of Defense. That's how little they mix things up in the federal government.
Yeah.
He was Defense Secretary under Ford, where he sort of formed an alliance with Dick Cheney. I guess they didn't like each other at first, but they found common ground on things like the unitary executive theory, which they would go on to deploy in the second Bush administration. But the first Bush administration was not something Rumsfeld was actually like a big fan of necessarily. He's a Republican, of course, but he did not like Papa Bush at all. And this comes out in the movie a little bit. So he says that, so apparently Reagan was considering nominating Ford as the vice president, which would have been a really weird move because Ford had been vice president and then president already without being elected to either. And then they were going to put him on the ticket again in 1980. It would have been a strange move. But
can you do that? I guess you can do that, right?
Yeah, there's no rule against it. Yeah,
it's fucking weird.
Yeah, but they decided to
the Air Bud of presidents.
Right.
Yeah,
but they decided to put and they were thinking about Donnie Rumsfeld as Reagan's VP, but instead they picked Bush. And the way Rumsfeld tells it is he was relieved that they did not choose Ford to be the VP nominee, which he thought would have been a disaster. He resigned from the Ford administration also because he thought things were poorly managed. But he makes it sound like, oh, this was what I wanted. But you can kind of tell behind the eyes that he deeply resented the fact that he was looked over to be Reagan's vice president.
Actually, I'm happy to be single right now because it's such a good, time to just work on yourself and,